Welcome to Whisper and Learn channel. In today's video, we'll dive into another engaging story to help you improve your English listening skills while enjoying a relaxing and stress-free experience. Each story is crafted to teach practical vocabulary, enhance your comprehension, and provide meaningful life lessons. So grab your headphones, relax, and let's begin.
The bright lights of the city flickered through the rain-streaked window as Ethan slouched in his small studio apartment. His laptop screen glowed with rejection emails. "Not a good fit, lacks the necessary experience, and we regret to inform you," filled his inbox. Once a promising marketing executive, Ethan was now an unemployed 32-year-old who couldn't seem to catch a break. It hadn't always been this way. 2 years ago, Ethan was riding high as the marketing director of a trendy tech startup. He was charismatic, driven, and innovative. But the pressure to deliver consistent results pushed him to take risks. Too many risks. One ill-fated campaign cost the company millions and sent him tumbling from the pedestal he'd worked so hard to climb. He'd lost his job, his reputation, and most of his friends. Ethan's confidence crumbled. To make ends meet, he took on odd jobs. Bartending, freelancing, even dog walking, but his heart wasn't in it. Every day felt like a reminder of his failures. One particularly dreary evening, as Ethan stared at his meager dinner of instant noodles, his phone buzzed. It was a message from his younger sister, Clara. "Hey, I know things are rough, but why don't you come visit? The kids miss you. It might be good for you to get out of the city for a bit." Clara lived in Willow Creek, a small town surrounded by rolling hills and lush forests. It was the antithesis of Ethan's current life. After much hesitation, he decided to go. He packed a single bag and boarded the next train. Willow Creek was as picturesque as Ethan remembered. Clara greeted him at the station with a warm hug, her 2 kids beaming up at him. For the first time in months, Ethan felt a flicker of belonging. Over the next few days, he helped around the house, played with his niece and nephew, and took long walks in the woods. The simplicity of small-town life was a balm for his weary soul. One afternoon, as he explored an old trail, he stumbled upon an abandoned mill by the river. The structure was dilapidated, but there was something captivating about it. Ethan's curiosity got the better of him. He peeked inside and found remnants of what looked like an old art studio. Easels, paintbrushes, and canvases lay scattered, collecting dust. It was as if time had stood still. He imagined the stories the mill could tell, a place where dreams were created and possibly abandoned, much like his own. Back at Clara's house, Ethan couldn't shake the image of the mill. Over dinner, he casually brought it up. "Do you know anything about that old mill by the river?" he asked. Clara's husband Jack nodded. "Yeah, it used to be a community art center years ago, but funding dried up, and it's been empty ever since." "Why do you ask?" Ethan shrugged. Just curious. It seems like a waste. A place like that could really bring people together. Jack smiled. You're not wrong. Folks around here still talk about it. It was a big deal back in the day. The conversation sparked an idea. What if Ethan could breathe new life into the mill? It seemed far-fetched, given his financial situation, but the thought ignited something in him he hadn't felt in years. Purpose. The next morning, Ethan visited the town hall to inquire about the mill. The building itself exuded an old-world charm, with its brick facade and ornate wooden doors that creaked as he stepped inside. The receptionist directed him to Mayor Harper's office, where he found a kind but no-nonsense woman in her 60s sorting through stacks of papers. Mayor Harper greeted Ethan with a firm handshake. Her desk was cluttered with documents, coffee mugs, and a small potted plant that seemed to thrive despite the chaos. She listened intently as Ethan described his vision for the mill. That's a noble idea, she said, leaning back in her chair. But it won't be easy. The place needs a lot of work, more than just a fresh coat of paint. And you'll need the town's support. People around here can be cautious about big changes. Ethan nodded, undeterred. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I think the mill could be something special again. Mayor Harper tapped her pen against her desk, considering his determination. Well, the property's been on the market for years with no buyers. If you're serious, I can help you navigate the red tape. But you'll need a solid proposal and a clear plan to get the community on board. Ethan left the town hall with a newfound sense of purpose. Over the next few weeks, he immersed himself in research and planning. He spent hours drafting a detailed proposal, outlining how the mill could become a creative sanctuary for the town. His vision included painting and pottery workshops, writing retreats, live music events, and even a small cafe to make the space sustainable. Ethan's first step was to connect with local businesses. He visited the bakery, hardware store, and even the florist, pitching his idea and asking for their input. While some were skeptical, others were intrigued. Mrs. Lively, the elderly owner of the bakery, offered to sponsor a bake sale to raise initial funds. Next, Ethan attended the town's monthly community meeting. Standing before a room of skeptical faces, he felt a familiar pang of anxiety. But as he spoke, his passion began to shine through. This mill isn't just an old building, he said. It's a piece of our town's history. I believe it can be more than just a memory. It can be a place where we come together, where our kids can learn and create, and where we can build something lasting. The room was silent for a moment, and then a few nods of agreement rippled through the crowd. Clara's husband, Jack, stood up and said, I'll volunteer my time to help with repairs. His offer seemed to break the ice, and soon others began chiming in with their own contributions. Ethan also started a crowdfunding campaign, creating a heartfelt video that showcased the mill and its potential. He shared stories from the town's past, featuring photos of the mill in its heyday. Slowly but surely, donations trickled in. Clara helped spread the word on social media, and her kids even organized a lemonade stand to raise money. Despite the growing support, not everyone was convinced. Some townsfolk doubted Ethan's ability to follow through, given his lack of experience in such projects. He overheard whispers at the general store. Isn't he the guy who screwed up that marketing job in the city? Instead of letting the criticism defeat him, Ethan used it as motivation. He doubled down on his efforts, personally visiting hesitant neighbors to address their concerns. He showed them his plans and explained how the project could benefit everyone. Bit by bit, he began to win over even the staunchest skeptics. With Jack's carpentry skills, they began the first phase of repairs on the mill. Volunteers showed up on weekends, armed with tools and enthusiasm. The building, once a forgotten relic, began to come alive. They replaced broken windows, sanded down warped floorboards, and cleared out years of debris. Ethan's niece and nephew even painted a colorful mural on one of the walls, depicting the mill surrounded by fields and flowers. Local artists and craftspeople offered their talents to help transform the space. One woman donated handmade pottery to sell at fundraising events, while a musician volunteered to play at the grand opening. Ethan's crowdfunding campaign gained traction, boosted by heartfelt testimonials from community members. As the weeks turned into months, the mill started to reflect the vision Ethan had imagined. The transformation wasn't just physical, it was emotional. The project became a symbol of what the town could achieve when they came together. Just as momentum was building, disaster struck. A severe storm swept through Willow Creek, flooding the mill and undoing weeks of progress. Ethan stood knee-deep in water, surveying the damage. Broken tools and soaked supplies were strewn about. For the first time, he felt the weight of doubt pressing heavily on his chest. That evening, Clara found him sitting alone, staring at the rain. "You've come too far to quit now," she said, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "What's the point?" Ethan replied bitterly. "Every time I try to fix something, it falls apart." Clara knelt beside him. "Do you remember when you taught me to ride a bike? I fell so many times I wanted to give up, but you didn't let me. You said, the only way to get better is to keep going, no matter how many times you fall." Her words struck a chord. Ethan realized he was letting his fear of failure paralyze him. He'd hit rock bottom before, and the only way out was to climb back up. The next day, Ethan rallied the community. He organized a massive cleanup effort, and dozens of townspeople showed up with buckets, mops, and tools. The outpouring of support was overwhelming. People donated supplies, volunteered their time, and shared ideas for the mill's future. Ethan worked tirelessly, often late into the night. He rediscovered his knack for problem-solving and leadership. He partnered with local artists to host fundraising events and reached out to former colleagues for sponsorships. The mill began to transform, not just physically, but as a symbol of resilience and hope. After months of relentless effort, the mill was ready. On a crisp autumn evening, the town gathered for the grand opening. Strings of fairy lights crisscrossed the courtyard, casting a warm glow on the beautifully restored building. The mill, once a crumbling relic, now stood as a testament to hard work and determination. The scent of freshly baked goods from Mrs. Lively's bakery wafted through the air, mingling with the sound of a local string quartet performing on a makeshift stage. Inside, every corner buzzed with activity. Paintings and photographs adorned the walls, showcasing the talents of local artists. A group of children crowded around a pottery demonstration, their eyes wide with wonder as a potter's hands transformed clay into elegant shapes. In another room, a writer's workshop was underway, with aspiring authors sharing their stories and receiving feedback from a published novelist who had volunteered her time. Ethan stood at the entrance, greeting guests as they arrived. He couldn't help but feel a swell of pride with each smile and word of praise. Clara approached him, her face glowing with emotion. She pulled him into a tight hug, tears shimmering in her eyes. "You did it," she whispered. "You turned your failure into something beautiful." Ethan smiled, his throat tight with emotion. "We did it," he replied, looking around at the bustling crowd. As the evening unfolded, Ethan took a moment to step back and soak in the atmosphere. He wandered through the rooms, watching people laugh, create, and connect. The mill had become more than just a building. It was a living, breathing symbol of resilience and community. He spotted Jack chatting with a group of volunteers, his niece and nephew proudly showing off their mural to an admiring crowd. Near the end of the night, Mayor Harper took the stage to say a few words. Tonight, we celebrate not just the reopening of the mill, but the spirit of Willow Creek. This project has reminded us of the power of coming together, of what we can achieve when we support each other. And we have Ethan to thank for bringing this vision to life. The crowd erupted in applause, and Ethan's cheeks flushed. For the first time in years, he felt a deep sense of accomplishment and belonging. As the festivities wound down, Ethan lingered outside, gazing at the mill under the stars. Clara joined him, her hands tucked into her coat pockets. "What's next for you?" she asked. Ethan chuckled softly. Honestly, I'm not sure. But for the first time, I'm excited to find out. The mill wasn't just a comeback for Ethan, it was a new beginning. Through the ups and downs, he'd learned that failure wasn't the end of the road, but a chance to forge a new path. And as he stood there, surrounded by the laughter and warmth of the community he'd helped to inspire, he knew he was exactly where he was meant to be. Ethan's story spread beyond Willow Creek, inspiring others to see failure not as an end, but as a beginning. He was invited to speak at events, sharing his journey from rock bottom to redemption. Each time, he emphasized the life lesson that had guided him. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the journey. Embrace it, learn from it, and let it propel you forward. Years later, the mill remained a thriving hub of creativity, and Ethan had built a new career as a consultant, helping other struggling communities revitalize their spaces. Whenever he felt doubt creep in, he'd visit the mill and remember how far he'd come. Ethan's journey wasn't just about turning failure into success. It was about discovering the strength within to rise again and the power of connection to make it all possible.
Thank you for listening to this story on Whisper and Learn channel. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something valuable today. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that make learning English fun and effective. Let us know in the comments what you think of this story or what topics you'd like to hear next. See you in the next video. Happy learning!